shouldn't be too much longer now, and we'll get ourselves underway and racing for what is hopefully going to be an absolutely incredible night's racing. I certainly do hope so. And well, it's entering the closing stages of this season now, and very spicy indeed, very important time in this championship, as it always is, for us to crown our champion. And we get the stream into the relevant places. Would be a absolutely grand idea. Already got a couple of people in. Welcome in, welcome in. Pleasure to have you as always. Anyone that does tune in to the streams, we got in. Thank you, Kloof. It's a pleasure to have you in, man. And yeah, pleasure to have everyone in that's tuning in. 15 drivers on the grid tonight. I was hoping for maybe a couple more, but 15, still a good number. Hopefully we can get a decent amount of them to actually finish. Japan doesn't really have the tendencies to cause DNFs, particularly often anyway. What else we got in? Hello Sam, hello Kieran. Here we are then, we are getting ourselves underway for tonight's racing. So hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You join me back for the UFR Championship, and we enter the closing stages of this season. This is round number 7 of the 10 race championship. It is of course the Japanese Grand Prix, with a mere 12 points separating our top 2 drivers of Dizzy and Scott. It's all to play for with our sprint to the finish line. We travel then to the beloved Suzuka circuit, one famed for its fast, flowing and exhilarating uphill S's, along with its tendency to bring about an absolute banger of a Grand Prix. Well, with that out of the way, my name is Zach Sweeney, your commentator for this evening. I certainly cannot wait to get underway. Short qualifying and a 50% race for the Japanese Grand Prix. Round 7 starts right now, and we've got 6 seconds now on the clock. Then we get 18 minutes on the clock for short qualifying, where it's absolutely everything given, nothing left on the table for what is it's now a wet qualifying here in Suzuka. That just adds that little bit of spice from full wet qualifying tyres as well. So that's going to be just that little bit of sprinkle. Doesn't look to be clearing up anytime soon either. And then Japan, well, it always has that tendency for the little Little odd sprinkle in the monsoon conditions. Of course, the 2020 or the 2019 Grand Prix had to be sort of postponed. Qualifying had to be moved to the Sunday morning in order to actually get the race underway. Or I believe it was the Sunday morning. But the first man out on track is the McLaren of Temp. He's heading out. He's going to try and venture out into these conditions and see what he can do, because, well, for the first couple of laps, you want to get that high fuel in, 5, 6, 7 laps of fuel. Maybe a little bit less than that, 5 or 6 laps of fuel, and just get out there and do some laps in order to just give yourself that opportunity to get into a rhythm of things and find where the grip is. Of course, the track will constantly change, whether it's drying up or it's getting wetter or anything. Really is how it goes in the wet conditions. It's lap by lap, corner by corner. It's going to be carnage, as Patterson rightly puts it, and Suzuka especially is a circuit that is very punishing in these wet conditions. You know, you can sort of get away with it here and there at some tracks, but Suzuka is a fast circuit that really punishes any mistakes. We've already got our first retiree, and it was Nathan Hotspurs in the Ferrari going through the S's, the driver's favourite, really some of the driver's favourite circuits. It's very challenging, the uphill S's. Of course, virtually no runoff. The only runoff really is through Spoon and through 130R. Other than that, it's just grass and gravel, which are really going to hurt you. This is Temp just doing a nice little burnout, giving us something to watch, and actually warming up his tyres, in fact. But Nathan can't even get round the first couple of corners without losing a wheel, and that already is a testament to how tricky these conditions are. We're going to have to see what Temp can do on an actual push lap, and where he can put the car and what sort of lines he can be taking. You know, in real life it's much more exaggerated that you take different lines. The outside line where there's less rubber, the karting line, as they say, you've got more grip out there because there's less slippery rubber. That's not really the case in sim racing, but you still do slightly deviate off different lines. You go maybe tighter into one corner or straighter out of another. But coming towards turn 1 for Temp, then let's see how he does. Completely flattened, balls to the wall through turn 1 and into turn 2. You just got to have the that trust in your brake pedal to caress the car through, and then into the first of the S's, just down a couple of gears, not taking it too hard, just driving the car around, and you can just see his throttle and brake applications, how smooth they are, and keeping that throttle on and keeping that brake on is so important, because you have to keep the weight distribution of the car just in balance. You can't be braking and going and lifting off and coasting. Coasting is probably the worst thing you can do in the rain. Ironically, you either want to be speeding up or slowing down. You cannot have that in between sort of where you're not doing anything, because then the balance of the car is everywhere. It's not pinned on the front or rear axle, it's just all over the place. So you can just see he's really taken the car in nicely with the brakes. As soon as he's off the brakes, he's onto the throttle. Even if that's only a little smidge, it keeps the car in check. Now through the hairpin, that was a very good run all through the S's, through the 2 Degners, and now in towards Spoon Curve. You've got this little right-hander kink, you keep it to the right-hand side, look for that 50, down a couple of gears, get as close to that curve as you can for the first of 2 apexes through Spoon, and you get it to the tightest point on the inside, run it out, use this curve on the exit, not too much because it definitely will spit you out and help you spin if that's something you want to do. Not really particularly good in the race, neither is going onto the grass. There, flat through 130R, almost goes a little bit wide, has to downshift a couple of times, keeps the lap valid though, as Torsev also in the Williams is out of qualifying, which is a shame for him, because again he would have wanted to actually get a lap in, but looks to be dry for the race, as I'm being told, but I'm not entirely sure. Across the line it's a 42-1 for Temp. We'll go on board with our championship leader of Dizzy Lizard, who is looking to extend that lead at the moment. 87 points ahead of Scott's 75, 12 points then into the last 3 rounds as Decker in the AlphaTauri goes a 42.4, Ethan Thomas a 43.6, a little bit off the pace then for the Mercedes, not something you often see at all with a Mercedes. But at the moment he's unfortunately a little bit off, but that's to be expected in the rain. You can never expect close gaps, because every tiny little adjustment on the steering wheel, any tiny little thing here and there really does become exaggerated. Big Butter into the 45.0s, Kieran Gamer 46.6, Dizzy Lizard without a front wing is going to want to come into the pit lane. This is R1D in the Alfa Romeo, again a driver who has shown consistency throughout the season and He's looking to just take that extra stride forward, extra step forward, coming through now the final chicane, the bus stop chicane, and through the final corner where we saw Robert Kubica bin it in 2019 across the line. Is he going to now start his lap? Indeed he is. The Alfa Romeo down towards turn 1, keeping it against the left-hand side. He might encounter a little bit of traffic further up, but you can see he's taking a very wide line into turn 1. That sets him up better for turn 2. Not really though, because he in fact gets off the brakes a little bit too quickly and just goes all the way around the outside through the curbs, and you can just see that jaggedy of the steering obviously on a controller. It's just not helping him. The car's having to do like 20 different things at once. You need that smooth transition, especially through corners such as these uphill S's, the left, the right, the left, the right, big blunder off of the exit of Dunlop. But that is the main benefit of having a wheel, is you can have these smooth transitions that you don't get with a controller. And being on, you saw there the Alfa Romeo was right in the middle of the track as he went into the Degners. Instead, come all the way to the left and swoop it in. But there's always time to learn. He's still got a long way left to go in this session as Decker goes even quicker, a 41.979, first man into the 40, or the sub 42, I should say. Yes, Max, this is quali indeed, and. Yeah, Patterson should be good to dry up. I hope it does dry up. We always love a dry race, and it does promote more people to actually finish. They say that there's been many a time in dry races where a lot of people have DNF compared to wet races, but that is a debate for another day. For sure, still a while left to go. Yellow flags all over the shop, whether that's people spinning or waiting up or letting people through. There's Decker going even quicker into the first sector, 1/10 and purple. That means he's quickest of anyone as William Gaming goes into P3 alongside Flicks in P5, Wackney into P2, just marginally less than a tenth off the provisional pole, 42.064, 41.979 for the top two. Temp looking to improve upon his time. Sam Patterson into P6. And yeah, it should be a lot of people still yet to improve. This is Decker now coming onto the back of a McLaren. Hopefully he might, actually to be fair, he might get a bit of a toe off the McLaren if he can catch up quick enough. It doesn't look like he seems to be a little bit far back, and we'll see how he ends off sector 2. I think the McLaren just chucked it into gear a little bit and got to move on. Decker to the middle sector then. Has he found a little bit more time? He has now 0.4 of a second up on his time, close enough too as he goes through 130. Absolutely nailed, slams on the anchors for the final couple of corners. The chicane, the right then the left, and then straight back into the right where you have to really be careful. There's Temp, a 41.255, very dominant fashion across the line. Decker can only improve to a 41.521, so Temp definitely did improve, and improved by quite a lot. And that was the McLaren we saw just in front there, was Temp, currently 2.5 tenths up. On pole position, there's Flicks going into P3, a 41.683. So, considering it's wet, very, very close qualifying times throughout and up and down the field. In fact, you can see Mr. and Ethan separated by literally 1/1000th of a second. And Suzuka, it's not the shortest lap. It's not like Austria where you would expect these gaps. It's quite long, and a 1:43 lap time, again very long. And you expect a lot of the time to be gained, and it's to be expected. But 1/1000th of a second, that is pretty respectable between those two. Too bad it's only over 8th place and not for pole, but who knows what they're going to be like towards the end of the session. There's Flicks going off into the grass on the exit of Dunlop there. Very easy corner to do so. It's tricky for sure. There's pretty much a full course yellow. I think everyone's going slowly on their laps in order to not burst out their tyres. There's Lewis into P10 at the moment, 44.192. He's going to want to improve upon that, because being 3 seconds off pole position, definitely not somewhere you want to be. I think we don't have Scott on the grid, so Dizzy Lizard, this is his golden opportunity to extend that lead just that little bit more into the final 3 rounds. Of course, this is this is round 7 of 10. We've got round 8, round 9, round 10 left to go after this. Kieran Gamer has gone for a British spin just in front of us, in fact, through the first of the 2 Degners. Let's have a look at how it happened. Just went straight. Maybe that was a wheel disconnection or something, locked the rears and tried to snap it, but powerful to the first sector goes Lewis. That big snap, though, that's not going to help him. Doesn't invalidate, luckily for the Williams, as he comes into the hairpin. A big snap on the rears just locking, and when the rears stop spinning, it's like ripping up a handbrake, because the rears stop rotating, the fronts are doing all the work, but you've still got that speed, so the rears are just skating, and any adjustment to the steering wheel and you are just going to go round straight away. and that's why it's important to have a good brake pedal. In the wet, the brakes are very much more important than the accelerator, and that is true in the dry, to be fair, just as important. Of course, it helps to have a good accelerator, but if you can't brake, you know, going fast is one thing, but slowing down definitely a whole different skill in of itself. There's plenty of different techniques. We'll have to see what Lewis does into the bus stop chicane. He just slams on the brakes as he gets the second gear, just slightly leans off a little bit. That's called trail braking. Gets a bit of a slide though, and well, he might be very good at braking. He's not particularly good at getting the throttle down as he comes across the line. Improves to P10 once more, 43.095, only a couple of tenths up on his previous best time. He's going to not be too particularly happy about this one. This is Dizzy Lizard, our current championship leader. Never really setting the time in sheets of blaze, but always there, consistently up there. In the races especially, just gets those good first laps. That's Big Butter joining our list of retirements for this qualifying session. And Dizzy Lizard, let's see what he can do. He's been on these wet tyres for a couple of laps or so. The rain looks to have sort of maintained and stayed the same, so not much in the way of track evolution. Maybe just people getting a little bit better, a bit more warmed up. That's 5 tenths to the middle sector alone. Goes a little bit wide through 130R. That flat out left-hander in the dry in towards the final chicane. We've only got a few more minutes left of qualifying. I believe we're just over halfway. We are indeed. 6 minutes and 32 seconds left to go as Dizzy Lizard crosses the line. Currently P6. Where can he go? It's only P5. Still 9 tenths away from pole position, and that is Temp leading the way from Decker. Flicks in P3 with Wackney P4. Dizzy Lizard, our man we're on board with now, in P5. William Gaming P6. Patterson P7 with Mister in P8. His teammate Ryan Kai P9 with Lewis rounding off the top 10. And we're going to ride on board with Jamboy. In fact, no, we're not, because he's off at the exit of Spoon and reversing down the track, looking for an opportunity to get himself away from the barriers, but he's just stuck in the barriers. Hopefully he doesn't put his way onto the track, and hopefully he deals with this okay. He's stopped at the moment, waiting for everyone to go through, and he handled that pretty well, it must be said. So good stuff from the Haas. Decker's strapped on the intermediates. So he's gambling, so too is Flicks, and William Gaming has the track dried up to the point where the inters may be quicker, maybe slightly quicker. I mean, it doesn't look to have eased off much, but then again, the track, the standing water can just be moved off the racing line. As long as you stick to it, you should be fine. We'll ride on board with Decker, see how he fares and how much he improves by, because this is now going to be crucial. If the track is improving, you do not want to be the one to get caught out by it. You want to be the one to get the optimal track conditions and not be the one that starts their lap first. There's going to be really who starts their lap last as Wackney retires from the session on those wet compound tyres off the exit of the second Degner in towards the hairpin, in fact. So very easy traction zone to lose that out of. You're carrying a lot of speed, but you're also slamming down the throttle, and well, very easy to do so. You can see him there parked on the exit, and as I said, very easy to do so. This is Decker in towards the hairpin, and he doesn't seem to be struggling too much on these green walled intermediates. Of course, those Pirelli range, the full extreme wets at 300 kilometers an hour can displace sort of 80 liters, I believe, or something even more than that, of water per second when you're traveling at that speed, and that's that immense amount of spray you see when you're behind a car. You can see it in real life, especially if you look to the Belgian Grand Prix in 2021 at Spa-Francorchamps. That is when you really see spray come into effect. Even though they're under safety car, you just couldn't see a thing. But no, with that displacement, it allows the track, the actual racing line, to have that water cleared off it, and opens the gap for these intermediates to maybe become a little bit quicker. We'll see what Decker can do. At the moment, 3 tenths off pole. This is Temp trying to improve upon the wet, but he's into the barrier and he's out of qualifying. That was a very weird mistake from the McLaren off of the final corner, and he tried to get the car turned around, just tapped the wall, and he was out. And that is a really weird mistake. So it's all eyes on Decker now, because he seems to be favourite for pole position. He invalidates his first run though on these intermediates, and he's only got a few minutes left to go. Can Temp be secure? This is Flicks on his outlap. in P3. Again, 4/10 off pole. He's probably got 1 or 2 more attempts at it in order to see what he can do on these inters. He's not got enough time to come in and strap on, so he's taking a risk, and let's hope for him that he can get it right, because, well, personally, it's my first time commentating on him, and we'll see what he can do in through the final corner. He doesn't look to be as confident, but maybe that's the thing. The laps that don't often look quick are actually really quick, because they're on the limit, they're on the edge, and they're pushing everything they can out of their tyres. You can see very tentative and almost seems slower through turn 1 and 2, when, well, probably is after that spin. But if he nailed that, I probably would have said that might have been a little bit quicker, but unfortunately for him, he didn't. This is Decker still crawling his way around the track, and maybe the inters weren't the way to go then. If they are still struggling, I don't think anyone has improved on the inters. But yeah, what is that now? 4 drivers on the inters. They're going for a gamble, and it is certainly a gamble. Dizzy Lizard on his outlap, his final outlap. It'll be his last run in qualifying. Still got a few people to set lap times, or decent representative lap times. R1D and of course everyone up and down the grid. We'll see what Jamboy can do. I think he's rounding off the grid on his first run on the intermediates, and 44.7 can't go quick enough in order to jump any places. Can Decker though? He's now starting his final run of qualifying, now 3/10 off pole position. Temp out of qualifying on the wets, made a bit of a mistake off the final corner, and that definitely cost him. R1D out of this session. We're now in the closing stages. At the end of this lap, the checker flag will be waved. Can Decker decline Temp of pole position? That McLaren has looked quick all throughout quali, and the wet definitely tells a different story to the dry. That's that Haas off again. Jamboy, I think, on the intermediates, really struggling out there. Can Decker improve to the first sector? We're now going to round it off in just a moment and find out as he goes through Dunlop. Pretty nailed, in fact, and looked pretty damn good as he goes through. He's down 8/10 down. The inters were not the quicker tyre by any stretch of the imagination. 8/10 to the first sector. He's really struggling. While it maybe looks a little bit better, it's not, and that could be down to slight mistakes from Decker's part. That could be down to the tyres just not being up to scratch. But either way, Temp is looking good for a pole position, unless Dizzy Lizard can do anything about it. 42.1 to his previous best time, 9/10 up. He needs to go. William Gaming retired from the session. He's going to stay 7th. This is Lewis into P4, 41.933. This is Flicks across the line. What can he do as he comes... And, well, Ryan Kite up into P2 on his lap, a 41.477 on the wet compound tyre. That was pretty damn good from the Red Bull, from what seemed to be very much out of the mix, but he's into it. Decker's pulling into the pit lane. Flicks, of course, can't improve either. And Ryan Kite might have just snagged himself a front row start here, unless Lewis can deny him, and Lewis definitely won't be denying anyone of anything. And, well... That is a very dramatic end to qualifying. Temp didn't even need a final run. A 41.2 was good enough. Ryan Kai couldn't deny him. Decker and Flicks took that gamble on the inters, and unfortunately it didn't work for them. And well, that brings an end to qualifying. It's going to be Temp on pole. McLaren looked quick all throughout it. Ryan Kai just suddenly, the track just come alive for him. That Red Bull just suddenly clicked and something happened. He found a lot of time. It was very close between himself and Decker though. 41.521, 41.477, around about less than 5/100ths of a second, in fact, between the two. Around about 44 thousandths of a second, I believe, if my math are correct. But never ever trust a commentator's maths, because, well, they're never the most trustworthy thing in the world. This is Sam Patterson. Can he improve his position? Goes P2! Sam Patterson with an absolute worldie of a final lap. A 41.411 denies the Red Bull of a front row start. And in the dying stages of this qualifying session, Sam Patterson puts it on the front row, P2 alongside Temp. That's going to be the inside line for turn 1 and 2. And, well, I think we're in for an absolute cracker of a battle here. Wow, what a lap. I was not expecting that. I saw him on a lap, and I thought we were just waiting for people to sort of finish their in-laps and come into the pit lane, but what a lap from Sam Patterson. Just to put it there, of course, Temp, star of qualifying so far, but Sam and Ryan, out of the blue, you wouldn't tip them for these things through their pace and trajectory through qualifying. They just whipped it out of the bag and just bang, front row in P3 for Ryan. Good stuff. Good stuff from the pair of them. They can be definitely happy with that, and that sets them up for a great position in the race. So it is Temp then, in these wet conditions, a 1:41.255 for the McLaren. He's joined by Sam Patterson on the front row. Ryan Kai denied, unfortunately, very, very close between the two. 66 thousandths of a second between them. Decker rounds off the second row. Fix and Lewis makes up an Aston Martin and Williams all British third row with Wackney and Dizzy Lizard, the championship leader, in P8. William Gaming and Mister round off the top 10 with Ethan Thomas, who looked good, promising at the start of qualifying, down in P11. Jamboy in P12. Big Butter, again another one who looked relatively good at the start, could only do a 45.0 and starts P13. R1D and P14. Kieran Gamer 15th with Nathan Hotspur and Torsif both unable to set any time whatsoever, and will make up the final row on this grid. And well, I think we are looking forward to an absolute cracker of a battle here today. With Dizzy, he never ever, as I always say, he never sort of does particularly well in qualifying, but always gets up there in the race. A good start, a good strategy, whatever it is, good consistency, really make why he's leading this championship. And he's only won, I believe, once. But it's being up there constantly, and it is blue skies and sunshine for this race. And I certainly did like your lap, Lewis. That was top notch. I didn't catch all of it. Another 2 laps in the Indians would have been great. The track did look to improve, in fact. Unfortunately, Kieran Gamer has been forced to leave, which is not particularly great. I think we're waiting to start now. 18 seconds left on the timer. And well, here we go then. We go ahead for the formation lap. Temp leads us on the soft compound tyre. Let's have a look at how the strategy lines up for the majority of the grid then. Pretty much everyone, very mixed in fact, between the soft compound tyre and the medium compound tyre. Those on the softs, it is a free tyre choice, so you don't have to start the race on a worn set of softs, and you can get away with taking these tyres 1, 2, 3 laps longer because of that, because they've not been pushed to their limits in a qualifying, because of that wet quali. You can make it a viable strategy. But some people, Decker, Flicks, Wackney, William, Mister, etc, Big Butter, R1D and Nathan and Torsif, they're going longer into this race. They're going for the sort of lap 15, 16, 17. They're going long, and then going to be very quick on softs at the very end of this race on a very light tank of fuel, which is just going to be an absolute beast of a setup. Because, you know, it's basically quali spec. You've got fresh softs and you've got low fuel. That chassis is going to be as agile as it will be all race, and those soft tyres are going to be absolutely at the pinnacle of their grip. But it's just about not losing too much time in these early stints and just hoping that you don't get compromised with a safety car that's right around the soft tyres windows, because then you will really struggle and really drop back. So it's a risk, but if you've got the pace and you've got the luck, certainly go for it. But Sam Patterson, Ryan Kai and Temp, no taking risks. They're going with the default box standard strategy that most people would go for in this situation. And Kieran Gamer, unfortunately, still not into the race. I think he'll have to wait until the start of the race, once the lights have gone out, to prevent the game glitching, which is a shame as to why this has to happen. But again, Codemasters do work tirelessly to make sure the glitches and stuff are sorted. Things happen, and of course with Portimao and Imola and Saudi Arabia, etc., being brought into this game, you have to sort of just cut him a little bit of slack. Of course, we don't want a broken game, but yeah, it's still nice to have them fixed. But these things definitely will happen. Kieran, I think you can get back in. Anyone else who is out of the session can come back in at the start of this race. But nonetheless, we have got a race to get our hands onto, particularly pit stop strategy. Then soft to hard or medium hard. Different strategies to what I would have thought. I'd have thought they'd gone soft to medium or medium to soft. But we will have to wait and see. Temp lining up on the front row of the grid. He's got Sam Patterson for company alongside after his stellar qualifying effort. It's going to be the inside run for turn number 1. And of course turn number 2. It's a McLaren on pole. An Alpine alongside the third and fourth slots on the grid with the Aston Martin of Flicks in the top 5. Any one of them could come in towards turn 1 leading this race. It's all about that start. It's all about that momentum, and it's all about getting that absolutely incredible start to this race. Here we go then to 5 red lights to the Japanese Grand Prix. Round number 7 of UFR is underway, and it's a great start from pole position from Temp. He leads from Ryan Kai, who gets a good start already alongside the Alpine towards turn 1. The AlphaTauri of Decker trying to find a way through. Ryan Kai is ahead as the Alpine of Sam Patterson, I believe, has gone round. He's had a bit of a tank slapper. He's now onto the grass, losing positions left, right and centre. Temp under pressure in towards the S sections. He's made contact with a Red Bull, and one of them's gone round. That's the Red Bull of Ryan Kai going off into the gravel, and Temp has been given a 5-second time penalty for a severe collision, and a full course safety car has now been brought into this race. Kieran Gamer and Lewis both out with 5-second time penalties up and down the grid. Decker leads from Temp in second place. What a chaotic start we saw. And well, I believe Ryan Kai's managed to get going again. He's not suffered too much damage at the start of this race, and that's going to help him for sure. But an early safety car with 2 retirements and 1 DSQ. Jamboy disqualified for blocking the pit entry. And Kieran Gamer not having the most pleasant of times at all. Good. Luckily, I don't think many people have got a massive chunk of damage. It was a very chaotic start. Ryan Kai got an absolutely incredible launch and tried to use that momentum, but again, it's all about being patient, picking your moments. Sector 1 is brutal for overtaking. You really cannot overtake much, as yeah, we're going to queue up under the safety car. Hopefully not too many pit stops, and a lot of drivers complaining about glitches that have set them back in this race will have ruined their races entirely. That was eventful for sure. This is Temp into the pit lane. He's going to serve his 5 seconds, and he's got another one for speeding in the pit lane. So he's going to have to stop for 5 seconds, but he's then going to have to come in again for another 5 seconds on his next stop, which was just counterintuitive, I think. And he's got a new front wing. He's strapping on the fresh medium compound tyres to around about half distance in this race. So Decker still will comfortably lead. He's got no penalties or anything. Flicks into P2. William Gaming into P3. Good stuff from him on the podium position. I think he's going to be looking forward to that. And Dizzy Lizard again, as I say, championship leader. He started P8th. He's now 4th under the safety car. Again, good starts, kept his nose clean, didn't get involved in any incidents, didn't get any damage, didn't get any penalties, and he's reaping the rewards now. And set him up on a good trajectory for the rest of the race. 2 and 4 for Aston Martin. They've been doing exceptionally well as a team all throughout, whether that is with Dizzy Lizard or his previous teammate, or now Flicks. He's currently doing an impressive, well, for me, his debut. He messaged me slightly earlier to say hello, and it's a pleasure to have him in, and for everyone to be here. In fact, it's always a welcoming community, as you know, you're not often gonna find such a welcoming community. It is the new safety car. It's the Aston Martin. It is indeed. Look at that. I didn't even notice. It's always been in my mind to not really pay attention to the actual safety car, but of course with the new Aston Martin deal with Formula 1, we've now got the green Aston Martin. I think it's the DBX for the safety car. I know it's the Mercedes AMG GT. For Aston Martin, I believe it's the DBX. It's their new road car they're trying to push, and what a way to do it than get Bird Mylander behind the wheel and lead a pack of Formula 1 cars around in a couple of laps of Suzuka. Dizzy Lizard, though, a 5-second time penalty for a severe collision with Sam Patterson. He's the car ahead, so has Sam Patterson gone into the back of Dizzy Lizard, or has something happened beyond our knowledge? But as I said, Dizzy Lizard, as I was saying, he had a good start and didn't get any penalties. He's just then gone and happened. It's a commentator's curse. Always happens. There's a couple of cars coming in. This is Ryan Kai stopping to serve his time penalty, a very long one, very lengthy one. Now new mediums going on to the car. We've got we're on to lap 3. DRS should be enabled. We should be having an absolute stellar fight at the front, but we're not. We're still queued behind the safety car and still waiting to go racing again, with now only 14 drivers left on the grid. Isn't particularly good. Hopefully we don't have too many more retirements. But yeah, good start for Decker. That strategy really paying off. He didn't get the best of starts. I mean, he put that pressure on with Ryan Kai on the front too, off the line, and definitely had the pace to do so. But he's on the medium tyre. He's on a good strategy. He hasn't had to pit, had to serve any penalties, haven't got any damage or anything. He just had a clear run. Would say thank you very much. If you're going to spin, you can spin. I'll do my own thing and I'll take the race lead. Thank you very much. And well, he's doing a good job of that at the moment, but he's got flicks for company. Off the restart, he's going to need to be careful. I believe we will go back green at the end of this lap. R1D now joining the back of this train, and well before the safety car time in line. So lap 3 of 27, 1/9 of the way through this race. As we go through Spoon Curve, you can see that AlphaTauri on the medium tyre. The harder the compound, the harder it is to warm it up, because of that harder rubber and the thicker rubber. That's going to be very much, well, it's going to lose its heat a lot quicker, and it's going to be harder to get that heat back. So you can see weaving around left to right, using that friction, using those lateral forces to really bring those tyres into a nice window, make them lovely and grippy, lovely and squishy for the restart, which is what you're going to need, as well as those brakes. You're going to want to have nice warm brakes that can slam on and perform in their nice operating window as quickly as possible. No indication from race control that the safety car is in this lap though. I'm not entirely sure as to why we're still under the safety car, as everyone is here. But one more lap then, it seems. Unless we're permanently stuck behind the safety car, that would be an interesting race, and in which case Decker comes across the line, he wins the Japanese Grand Prix. Hopefully that's not the case. But yeah, still one more lap, which is very strange, because we are all here, as I said, and we're all raring to go. No one wants to be under the safety car for much longer, especially because it's going relatively slowly, it must be said. But that's a very nice safety car. I do like the Aston Martin. It's very nice, and he's got his Aston Martin buddy, Flix and Dizzy Lizard, just behind him. But yeah, I think the AMG, the current AMG we've got now, and this Aston Martin, two of the nicest looking safety cars ever. You'll ever really find, because that green and the yellow really just makes it a nice package. The British Racing green, of course, you can see on both the safety car and the Aston Martin that we've got now. Might have to AI in 20 minutes for like 45 seconds due to food delivery. It's worth it though. It is worth it. Big Butter 69 in the McLaren. Let's see if you can get yourself into the race lead before the food comes, and then, well, then you've definitely got the motivation to go and grab it quickly. What have you got though? That's the thing. What food have you got? What have you ordered? As we've got a couple of changes of position. Ethan Thomas going round off the exit of the hairpin. He's going to be losing a lot of positions. He's going to need to drive quickly back up to the back of the safety car, otherwise they might go without him. On the softs, that's not going to be doing his tyres any world of good by any means. Needs to catch up quickly, should be able to do so. No sweat. In towards the spin curve, and he's already onto the back of R1D. So no sweat whatsoever from the Mercedes driver. Safety car then finally in this lap, confirmed by race control, so Decker becomes the effective safety car. He controls the pace up until the time in line, where we then go green officially. You can see weaving around, really backing up the field. Does not want anyone getting any jump on him at all. He's going to bolt it anywhere between now and the start-finish line, as I say. And he's weaving it round. Does not want to go too early or too soon or too late. He's probably going to bolt it at the exit of this corner to try and catch a couple of people out. We've gone green once more. We're back under racing. A pretty good restart from Decker, but so too from Flicks. He's going to be under pressure though. Is William Gaming from Dizzy Lizard, who's looking to get himself onto the podium places. Now officially go to green flag racing. Dizzy Lizard put into the right hand side in towards turn 1. Is he going to go for it? He looks, but doesn't quite manage to convert. So William Gaming just about managing to stay ahead off the restart, but an absolute amazing launch off turn 2. Gives Dizzy Lizard the look, but again can't quite. But he's going to go for the absolute amazing quadruple switchback maybe, as William Gaming messes up one of the S's, and that really just ruins your run all the way through, every single one, as they go through Dunlop again and towards the two right-handers. The two Degners, Degner 1 done and Degner 2 going through. Let's see if he can get a good enough launch and maybe go for the send in towards the hairpin. Doesn't look to be quite close enough. Mister might be looking to go for a send on Sam Patterson. Again, can't quite go for it, but the Alpine goes in deep. The Red Bull looks up the inside to use that camber, but again, just can't get that run. Just isn't quite committed enough, and the gap quite wasn't there. Unfortunately, 1.1 seconds separates Decker and Flicks at the front side. William Gaming 1.2 back, so the closest battle on track. The fight for the podium place between Dizzy Lizard and William Gaming, but Dizzy Lizard goes in very deep on the exit of Spoon Curve. Sam Patterson is going to want to make amends for his appalling race start. Tucked up nicely in the slipstream. Is he going to go for it in towards 130 yard? Keep the foot in? No, he backs out of it just to think better of it, but a good attempt and filling the mirrors of Dizzy Lizard just to make sure he knows he's there. William Gaming going in quite deep though. This could allow Dizzy Lizard to get an amazing run now, practically pushing him through the final corner. Going to look up the inside. He's got that run down the straight on to the pit straight, and he's managed to get himself into the podium places. Can he hold it though? Because William Gaming has still got a good enough run, but not quite good enough to contend. Dizzy Lizard, and now it's now an Aston Martin double podium. Wackney under pressure from Temp. He gets the move done into turn 1 and 2, and they're tagged, and oh no, Temp's been sent round into the barrier. A big crash off the exit as William Gaming is also out. He's just been overtaken for the podium places and out of this race. A safety car has been brought into effect once more, and a huge crash. Look at that. R1D also out. Another 2 added to the list of retirements. A big crash again on the exit of the S's. I think he collected Sam Patterson in that one too. So we're losing cars left, right and centre. Just Sainsbury's. Nothing too spectacular there. Still good though. Of course, other supermarkets are available. Not just Sainsbury's, but if Sainsbury's do want to sponsor the street, no opposition from myself. Now we're just 12 runners left in this race, and we're back under safety car conditions for the second time. We've only had 2 laps of green flag action, and of those we've seen a couple of overtakes at that. It's not the most exciting race as of yet, but very much dramatic. So Decker still leads the way. Is anyone going to come into the pit lane, whether that's to repair damage or anything of the sort? Anyone in? Dizzy Lizard maybe to serve as penalty? No. In fact, not. Is there anyone else coming in? No. They've all gone through the pit lane. I don't think they really need one. Temper maybe needs to come in, yeah, to repair some damage to his front wing. Strapping on some soft compound tyres. He's going to go for a bit of a sprint then. Sam Patterson also in. So those we expected to be doing really well. Temp and Sam, of course, they put blistering laps in the wet. Have really had an appalling start, as have many people, as of the 5 retirees of R1D, William Gaming, Kieran Gamer, Lewis and Jamboy. A couple of them arguably not really their faults. But yeah, for Temp and Sam, the 2 that started on the front row, they're down in 11th and 12th. And a mile off the back of the safety car queue, so they're going to need to get in gear a little bit and catch up. Torsif as well onto the hard compound tyres for the next 20 laps. Probably should be comfortable-ish to the end. So Decker leads. Flicks is going to get a second chance at the safety car restart. You can see everyone is raring to go. No one likes being behind safety car. So through the bus stop chicane, and still waiting for Sam Patterson on the backside, and it should be at the end of this next lap, on to lap 9, that we get it. Dizzy Lizard though, why come in now is my question. He had the chance at the end of last lap to come in and serve his penalty before everyone was bunched up, and now he's going to come in, he's going to serve his penalty, and he's going to be dead last because he gave everyone the opportunity to close up and bunch up. And now, because he's come under the pit lane, under the safety car, instead of doing it early on, he's now lost a good 8 positions. Sure, he's not going to lose that much time, but he's lost at positions. And that is the crucial thing, because when you lose positions, you really do lose a lot of time. Even if you are quick, even if you're confident, you still have to battle your way through the field. And when you battle, the more wheel-to-wheel action you come into, the higher likelihood you are of coming into an incident. Of course, usually you get away scot-free, but that increases basically the more times you put yourself in danger, the more more likely you are to come out with an injury. So for Dizzy Lizard, it's going to be use those soft tyres as best he can, but stay composed, stay patient, as Ethan has gone for another spin under the safety car again through Degner 1. Through the hairpin, and he's managed to get through this time without spinning, and he's on 7-lap-old soft compound tyres, which are going to be absolutely cooked because of the way he's been lighting those rears up. Should be safety car in this lap. Everyone's here and ready to go. Decker definitely wants to get going. I mean, his medium tyres are not complaining. They're getting a breather. They're getting a nice breather. They can go even longer. He could probably go to softs after this pit stop, if provided everything goes to plan. So too can Flicks and Mr. and Nathan. They can probably go to softs in around about 15 laps each time, maybe. Safety car though in this lap, I say 15, maybe more like 10. Maybe like 10, 11, 12 sort of laps. Maybe the tyres then will start to drop off. But going slowly under the safety car, absolutely no concerns whatsoever really with tyres. Now weaving around, Decker going to get a second chance to lead the grid off, and Fleet's going to get a second chance to launch that attack as quickly as he can. Mister's going to want to get himself into the mix as well. Ryan Kai gets his redemption after these last couple of safety cars. You can see Flicks all over the back, and a bit of contact maybe between the two. He's really making that car as wide as possible. Flicks really wants to go. He's been given a 5-second penalty and he's bolted. We're going once more. We're back on the green flag racing. An absolutely incredible start between the two Red Bulls. That's Mister having to defend from his teammate, but gets the jump. This is Nathan under pressure from Wackney towards turn 1. He's tucked up in the slipstream, the fight for P5. Nathan half-heartedly defends. Wackney doesn't go for the move. It's still Decker that leads from Flicks, Mr. Ryan Kai, Nathan your top 5, with Wackney now on board with him as they go up through the S's. Ryan Kai wants to get through past on his teammate. He's on the fresher tyres and he can definitely use his pace to catch up to the leaders, but the thing is that he just can't find a way through around Suzuka. While the track is amazing, it's very, very difficult to overtake. Dizzy Lizard making some places up on Sam Patterson and getting himself into the top 10 once more and starting his combatant charge to the front. And only a couple of tenths off. This is the McLaren swapping places. This is Temp getting himself into 7th because Big Butter has maybe got distracted from his Sainsbury's order because he's gone off at the exit of the second Degner and is down in P12. Decker leads 1.3 seconds clear of Flicks. Mr. rounds off the podium, but Ryan Kai definitely there, ready to pick up the pieces. And Mr. in fact closing on Flicks, who himself has got a 5-second penalty for contact under the safety car. We saw that right at the death of it. This is Dizzy Lizard on the back of Torsif. Can he make a move? Maybe in towards 130R as he gets that good run. He's on the soft tyres. Remember, he's going to have the slipstream. We're going to go back to the fight for this podium place between the two charging Red Bulls and the P2 man of Flicks. This is Sam Patterson also trying to get past Dizzy Lizard. There's a lot of fights going on, very close cars all throughout. Nathan trying to look up the inside of Ryan, but again just couldn't quite convert. No DRS of course for the next 3 or in fact 2 laps. Decker sets the fast lap, a 1:33.226 as we now come on to lap 10 of 27, approaching halfway through. And this is now probably 4th lap under green flag. Mister going in a little deep for turn 2. Doesn't compromise him too much as his teammate can't find a way through. Decker very comfortably leading though, nearly 2 seconds. And he's very much comfortably out of that crucial 1 second range to get out of that virtual tow hook. Temp though on the back of Wackney, very close grid. That's Big Butter out of the session, and if he was distracted by his safety order, well, he doesn't need to be now, as he has brought out the 3rd safety car in 10 laps, and that's probably going to trigger quite a few pit stops, maybe from people on the mediums to the hards, from people on the softs to the hards, from softs to mediums, whatever it might be, whatever they're going to go for, we'll have to see. But another safety car in effect. I'm sure that's going to be to the annoyance of a lot of people, because again we want action, we want racing. Yeah, unlucky for you, but that is a shame. That curb is lethal. The 2 Degnan is very difficult corners. They're not meant to be easy. Particularly easy at all. I mean, as the cars get quicker, as the cars get more stable, as they get more safe, corners will get slightly easier. Of course, Eau Rouge nowhere near as much of a challenge as it used to be. So too 130R and Blanchimont and things like that. But Decker coming into the pit lane gets it stopped nicely for the pits. Flick stays out though. He's going to take the race lead. Mister comes in under the safety car as well. Ryan Kai into P2. As what tyres are these guys strapping on? They're going for the hards to the end. So Decker has got a hard on and should be going to the end of this race. Big Butter left the session, of course, understandably so. I don't want to be in a session that you're not racing in unless you're the commentator, in which case that is my job. But through turns 1 and 2, the AlphaTauri needs to try and get onto the back of everyone else. He's got a big amount of gaining to do now. Just 11 runners left in this Grand Prix. We started with a 17, 3 safety cars, and 11 laps later, and we're down to just 11. And with some very dominant people. So Flicks this time is going to be the one leading the charge. It's now an Aston Martin 1-2 with the safety car, and of course the actual Aston Martin. Oh, I say the actual Aston Martin. It's the one in front that's the actual Aston Martin, because yeah, this is the Aston Martin team. Not really a manufacturer team because they don't make their own engines. They're not. They get supplied by Mercedes power units. They're just the Aston Martin team after Lawrence Stroll bought a massive stake in Aston Martin at the end of 2020, I believe, or towards the middle end of 2020. But I think there was something like 30% stake in Aston Martin, and was like, hey, let's come over to Formula One, and here they are. Lawrence Stroll, of course, saving the previous Sahara Force India team from bankruptcy after Sergio Perez saved the team by putting it into administration, then went to Racing Point for 2 years, and now Aston Martin. So the team has gone through a lot of changes. It was, I believe it was Jordan, and then it was Minardi, and then it was just a lot of teams. Actually no, it wasn't Minardi. Minardi's now AlphaTauri, isn't it? But it's gone through a lot of changes, to say the least. It's had its fair share of switcheroos, but at heart has always stayed the same team, the team that's really good on a budget, really good at maximising every little thing they can out of the car. Of course, have got 1 podium so far in 2021, unofficially 2 after Sebastian's P2 in Hungary, but that was rightly so taken away from him because of a fuel infringement. Hate to say rightly because he drove fantastically, but yeah, that's unfortunate for him. But yeah, good overall, good promising stuff from the Aston Martins, who aren't really in the fight with McLaren or Ferrari for 3rd in the championship, but they're there in the midfield, as is a lot of people. Now Williams, 22 points to their name after George Russell and Nicholas Latifi doing an absolutely stellar job bringing home the points. So should be safety car in at the end of this lap. I hope it is safety car at the end of this lap because I want some racing. I don't particularly want to be commentating on a safety car It's not my forte by any means. And let's have a look at what's happened in the Discord. I think a couple of people, I'm particularly happy with a couple of people. Yeah, that's always going to happen. Drivers aren't always going to get along, but we always have to try and keep it civil. Always have to just, you know, take a step back and remember it's pretend race cars. It's nothing too serious. It's UFR. You know, it's Wednesday night. We're trying to just have a bit of fun, not take it too seriously. As Flick's interesting line, he's trying new things under the safety car, the Aston Martin, just experimenting, testing the waters, but I don't think the grass is particularly the quickest way around that corner. Opens it up quite a lot. You get a nice wider angle going in, but you're not going to get a lot of front end grip to actually turn the car, and you probably have to start turning halfway down the straight in order to get that turn, but we'll go with it. Should be safety car in this lap. Indeed it is, confirmed by race control. Flicks becomes the effective safety car, an Aston Martin safety car swaps for an Aston Martin safety car. Ryan Carr is going to be right behind him. Flicks, of course, with a 5-second penalty. He chose not to serve in the pit lane. Decker, a 5-second penalty for a severe collision with Torsif. It just seems to be a curse for anyone that leads this race. You can see Ryan Carr, though, as we go at green once more. Flicks absolutely bolting it off the restart. Already 5/10 clear of Ryan Carr as we go onto the pit straight once more. Back green and underway. Lap 13 of 27. Ryan Carr, though, might actually be able to mount a challenge on Flicks towards turn 1. He's very close. Closest we've seen a lot of people. This is Dizzy Lizard to the inside of Wackney. Goes for it to the inside of turn 1, not somewhere you often see the moves get done. They're going to be side by side. The Aston Martin giving everything, but Ryan Carr's gone round at the exit of turn 2. One of the fighting forces for the lead of the race has gone round at turn 2. It's a curse. It is a curse. It's like Monaco around about 30 years ago, where anyone that led the race ended up being retired or spinning or something. Wackney going deep through Dunlop. Temp's going to say thank you very much, take the tighter line, get the run off, use the ZRS, get himself ahead before the first Stegner, and the Haas really not with much to say about that. Flicks lead then 2.5 seconds clear of Nathan in P2. Dizzy Lizard now up into P3. The championship leader making the best out of a horrible situation in towards the hairpin. He's been rear-ended by the McLaren. Temp into the back of him. That's reopened the door for Wackney to come through, and wing damage for the McLaren. Sam Patterson going to say, well, he's going to try and capitalise off this as best he can, pulling to the left-hand side, going to go all the way around the outside. It's going to the inside. For Spoon, shouldn't be too out of a move to make, as the McLaren just understeers his way off the track. Complete and utterly no grip whatsoever out there on the AstroTurf, and with no front wing. Dizzy Lizard, though, can get himself into the top 2 and make it an Aston Martin 1-2. And we've got another safety car, an Aston Martin 1-2-3. This is Decker trying to get past Temp, who can still be relatively quick through 130R. But everywhere else will certainly struggle, and will probably have to come into the pits this lap for probably medium tyres to the end of this race. He's come in and Decker nearly got caught out by that, but we're going to go to the fight for the podium, because here comes Dizzy Lizard. Nathan Hotspur's not too much in the way of defending. Dizzy Lizard's going to drain his ERS, pull to the right hand side, go down the inside. The Ferrari, though, he's going to hold it. Is he going to stick it side by side? He's going to stick his nose in. It's the inside for the S, as if he can stay there, but oh, just backs out of it, and Dizzy Lizard up into P2. That was dicey. Good effort from Nathan, but those old medium tyres just a little bit worse for wear, in the sense that well, he's not going to have the same amount of grip as he did 13 laps ago in order to fight Dizzy Lizard, who's now charging after his teammate. The championship leader, he always comes alive in the races, always comes alive, and with Scott not racing, he's going to extend his championship lead, provided he finishes this race going into the final 3 rounds. Halfway into this race, lap 14 of 27. It's been a little bit slowed by safety cars as Sam Patterson goes into the barrier off the hairpin, just went straight on, and has now got no front wing, and down to P8. This is Wackney on the back of Nathan Hotspur's. They're all queuing up to have a go, and once you get overtaken once, you often find yourself getting overtaken a couple of times within a lap, while you get that rhythm back, and constantly, as soon as you get overtaken, you're knocked out of that rhythm. You're then frustrated that you've just been overtaken. And for Nathan, especially when you're in a pack, it's so difficult for you to regain that mentality quickly. But Wackney seems to be next in line. Nathan, though, still got a decent amount of ERS in the battery. Wackney through the bus stop chicane. They're trying to stay with Dizzy Lizard as best they can. Dizzy Lizard, though, on those softs, closing at a rate of knots on his teammate, who surely has to come into the pit lane. He sets the fast lap, a 32.4. DRS now enabled. It's not going to help the Haas, though, who's having to use everything down the straight. Nathan defends, but the Haas finds the space on the inside. He's going to go for it. He's gone for a spin. He's hit the curb on the inside. Managed to save it. What a save from Wackney. I wish we were on board with that, because he clipped that curb on the inside, went absolutely sideways, and managed to catch it. And while we are certainly in Japan with just like that, what a good little bit of handwork from Wackney there, just to keep that in a straight line. Dizzy Lizard, though, on the back of his teammate. Shouldn't be too hard of a move for him to make in through the first couple of degners. He just needs to close that gap first, marginally so, and should get the assistance of DRS. If not beforehand, he should catch way before that. But Flicks, with a ton of ERS, you can see the closing distance under brakes. That soft tyre just gives him that confidence to smack the brake down and get the car stopped as soon as he wants. Decker getting past Wackney, who's gone for a bit of a spin off the exit of the hairpin, and well, down to 6th place now. Not been the best race, best of races for a lot of people in terms of both action and well, in terms of them actually getting to the end, and going to be quite a frustrating day. I'd imagine this is team orders. Maybe Aston Martin. Flicks not putting up much of a fight for his teammate, who's going to just go to the left hand side, pass, and into the lead goes the championship leader to extend that championship lead even further in this race. Is Flicks going to come into the pit lane? There's an Alpine of Sam Patterson. He's rounded out of this session, and there's another safety car in this race. Dizzy Lizard, no hesitation. They're going to have to double stack at Aston Martin. Flicks having to back off as much as he can. He's going to lose out a lot here today. Nathan might even be able to get himself into the top 2. Mr. stays out though on those hards to take the lead. So too does Torsif. Does Torsif stay at Wackney? A 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, but another safety car. 9 runners left in this race. We're probably not going to have many people by the end of it if it carries on like this. So hopefully no more safety cars. I hope no more safety cars whatsoever. I want clean racing to the end, exciting racing towards the end. Safety cars are fantastic, but only when they actually add something to the race. When it's just safety car after safety car, it's dull. We've paused the race. If it's a very dramatic moment right towards the end of a race, or right around a pit window, or somewhere where someone's going to gain massively out of it and make it really interesting, that's when safety cars are amazing. But when they're on this increased rate for some reason, and one person crashes, it just makes the entire rhythm of the race go into turmoil. Drivers are knocked out of it. They're sort of just all over the place in terms of their mindset. They're out of rhythm, their tyres are cold, they're not in that race, and they're going for their desperate moves as well, because they know they need to get those moves done before the next safety car, and all these things coming out, and it just throws the strategy up. And yeah, it's down to the drivers to keep it clean, but at the same time, you know, just don't crash, and the safety car won't come out. But for me personally, in the commentary booth, it's not been particularly the best race, but we do usually have pretty good races in UFR. But yeah, Mister, he's going to lead the pack. We've had 4 safety cars now, 3 of which have been led by different leaders. We've had we've had Flicks leading one. We've had then also Decker leading one, and now Mister leading one. 3 leaders for a safety car in 4. Lap 16 of 27. Definitely in these closing stages now, drivers. But yeah, hopefully we get a race for a fight for the race lead, because we always want a fight for the race lead. An actual fight, not Dizzy Lizard on fresh softs getting past his teammate who's on old mediums. That's not a fight for the race lead. Fight for the race lead. It's equal tyres, equal strategies, equal paces, just going at it around the circuit. That's what we really want to see. Not sort of trundling around half-heartedly around on the safety car, because the majority of these laps have been under the safety car. It's not really much of a race when you're not allowed to overtake, because overtaking in a race does help. It sort of makes a race a race. if you can overtake. So lap 17 of 27. It's Mr. that leads from Torsif P2, Dizzy Lizard P3 extending his championship lead, Nathan in P4, Decker rounds off the top 5 with 10th P6, Wackney P7, Ryankai P8 with Flicks rounding off the top 9, Sam Patterson, Ethan Thomas, Big Butter, R1D, William Gaming, Kieran Gamer, Lewis and Jamboy all out of this session. And it should be safety car in this lap. I hope it's safety car in this lap. Fingers crossed for safety car in this lap, as we'll find out as we go to the sector 3 timing line, or the end of sector 2, start of sector 3, whatever you want to call it. Maybe you say the sector 1 timing line is when you aim sector 1, sector 2, and then sector 3 is the start finish line, whatever it might be. Or the sector 1 is the start finish line, sector 2 is the end of sector 1, sector 3, whatever you want to call it. Nonetheless, we've got Mr. Weaving around on his hard compound tyres. They're going to be an absolute pain to warm up, as Torsif behind on some fresher medium tyres. Dizzy Lizard as well behind. He's been very quick on race pace and is on some fresh mediums comfortably to the end of this race. The safety car is in. It's now Mr.'s responsibility to punch it whenever he wants. When is he going to go? We're back on the green flag racing. He's caught almost everyone out. Nathan trying to get a good launch behind Dizzy Lizard. Temp, an absolutely incredible restart. He's going to be fighting with Decker, who goes defensive in towards turn 1. Down the pit straight, lap 18 of 27. They're bumper to bumper to bumper as we go through turn 1. Wackney looking, but doesn't quite send. Neither does Temp. No one really looking to go for a gap that doesn't exist into turn 1 and 2. They all keep it clean. Mr. still leads 8/10 clear of Torsif. Dizzy Lizard trying to make up places. That is Temp getting all sorts of squirrely through the S's, and has to make up a little bit of ground on Decker in front as they go through towards Dunlop for the 18th time this race. Probably one of the only times they've done it at full racing speed, and yeah, going to be a massive factor. But we're all in a nice little train here. Is anyone going to go for a move? Everyone pretty much on equal strategies, it seems, also, which is soft to the end. Torsif trying his best to stay with Mr., who's just absolutely rapid on those hard compound tyres, it seems. Got them into a nice window early on. There's the Wackney, the Haas of Wackney trying to go for the move down the inside. So too is the AlphaTauri of Decker, but he can't quite get the drive off the corner. Looks into the hairpin, but the guy on the outside, if you send it, just stays around the outside, keeps his foot down and gets that good launch, and that always does help. Indeed, as they go through Spoon Curve, he's going to get a nice little slipstream. It's Decker so long as he can get a good run. He's got 90% ERS in the battery as they go down this back straight. That's Wackney though, trying to get past Temp on the older medium tyres. Here comes Wackney on fresh softs to the left hand side in towards 130. Not somewhere you often see it happen. There's a bit of contact. Wackney sent sideways. What a save again from the Haas as they go towards the bus stop chicane. How he's done that. Temp didn't give quite a lot of room, but Wackney just kept his foot in, did not back down, and luckily for him is still in this race as we go on to lap 19. Mr. still leads the way, made a slight mistake though, and he could be under pressure from Torsif as the entire grid now. Ryan Kai looking to go off a compromised Wackney in towards turn 1, goes down the inside over the curb, completely takes the track away from him. Wackney trying to come for the switcheroo, again can't quite get that drive nor the opportunity to do so. So Ryan Kai up into 7th, one of the favourites maybe to win this race. At the start, Temp's gone round though. Oh no, another spin for the McLaren, who's not having the best day by any stretch of the imagination today. Dizzy Lizard trying to close the gap. Decker though making moves on a compromised Ferrari who went wide at Dunlop, luckily did not go fully off the track. Now Decker can set his sights. Luckily for Nathan, didn't go off, but Decker, as I say, can now set his sights on the top 3. It's all aboard the Mr. train, all aboard the Rebel train. Torsif and Dizzy Lizard stuck behind, and that's now allowed Decker and Nathan on these fresh, soft compound tyres to really close up. They're going to be a massive advantage, of course, with DRS enabled next lap. Is going to make it even more exciting. 9 runners left to go, with around about 8 laps left in this Grand Prix. Now coming through Spoon Curve for the 19th time and down this back straight towards 130R. You can see Decker using a little bit of ERS just to gain some of the momentum back, and that Red Bull weaving around, trying to break the toe just a little bit in order to halt the offence of Torsif, halt that forward motion from the Williams, who's practically pushing him now through the bus stop chicane, but the Aston Martin of Dizzy Lizard is going to try and get a good enough run. He's got an incredible run. He's been good at that all race long. Now dummying to the inside. DRS now enabled. Dizzy Lizard trying to get himself into the top 2. Decker trying to follow his way through as they now blitz their way down towards turn 1 and 2. Dizzy Lizard gets himself ahead in towards the top 2, and he's now setting his sights on Mister in front. He's on fresher medium tyres. That's going to be a massive advantage to the end of this race. 8 laps left to go as Wackney gets himself back ahead of the Red Bull of Ryan Kai and into P6. But the top 4 fight is what we're interested in. Decker trying to find a way through, but just can't. He's going to bide his time. He's going to wait for that DRS benefit, or is he? He's got the run maybe towards the first of the 2 Degners. Looks doesn't quite send things better off at the Williams. Very much under pressure, and Decker does not want to be waiting around very long. He wants to get through and he wants to get a move on. He's going to be saying to the Williams, hey, we can work together if you really want, but if you're not going to be up to the scratch of the front 2, then I'm just going to get through and I'm going to do it all by myself, because working together is a massive part, even if you're not on the same team. And I don't think he's particularly interested in working together. I think he's waiting for the DRS. That's Flicks going round off the exit of Dunlop. He's very much out of contention in this race. About 7.5 laps left to go. Dizzy Lizard setting up moves left, right and centre. He's going for those good exits, really setting it up 1-2 corners in advance, just going wider, cutting in, getting that straighter exit, a later apex, and that really gives him that run. He's going to be nicely in the toe. He's done it now on a couple of drivers through that final corner. Can he do it on Mister? Looks to the right hand side, is confident in his braking, not that confident though. He's going to get the benefit of the drag reduction system, an extra 20 kph. Can we see a change of the race lead? He's going to use everything he's got left in the battery. DRS now as they go down the pit straight onto lap 21. The Red Bull pretty much defenseless. Here comes Dizzy Lizard down the inside, head before the corner, and Decker trying to find a way through. Still can't find a way through on Torsif as he's been practically pushed. Dizzy Lizard though lost some ground in towards turn 1. He's now been attacked. Decker though, a very opportunistic move down the inside in towards the S's. The first of them into that left-hander. That's Torsif going very wide. He's lost the ground to Nathan. He's really having a nightmare. Once you lose one position, you again lose 1, 2, 3 as you go down the grid. But Dizzy Lizard deep in towards turn 1. He worked so hard to get through, but again just couldn't quite keep it. That mistake through turn 1 and 2 really did cost him at the front. Mister re-inherits the race lead now with around about 6.5 laps left to go. Decker, these fresh softs, he needs to get a move on before they start to deteriorate, because they will go off a cliff quicker than the mediums or the hards. The softs do that. They are softer rubber, they're quicker, but for not very long, and with 6.5 laps to go, these are going to be very dead towards the end. He's going to need to use every bit of advantage he can get now in order to not let that happen, not let that drop off affect him too much towards the end. Mr. leads from Dizzy and Decker, and we might see a change for P2, because Decker in the AlphaTauri has looked quick all race long. He's been consistent. Luck has not really gone his way. Dizzy Lizard having to look in his mirrors. Decker closing at a rate of knots, under braking. Again, just needs to get a good exit. Dizzy Lizard doing exactly that. He's going to get the benefit of the DRS down this pit straight. DRS open for the pair of them as they're going to close on Mister. Are we going to see a 3 abreast moment? Here's Dizzy Lizard closing on Mister. Pulls to the right hand side once again. Deja vu. Is Decker going to have a go as well? Mister's been absolutely mugged. Here goes Decker down the inside, but Mister hangs on around the outside to just about manage to scrape P2. Dizzy Lizard takes the lead, but the Honda powered AlphaTauri just, I think, maybe wasn't confident, just didn't want to risk it all, didn't want to throw it all away on one corner, and just waited for Mister to make a mistake like this. He's wide on the hard compound tyres, almost collected the AlphaTauri. Now Nathan could be looking to get a compromised AlphaTauri. Mister now well and truly out of this contention for the race lead. He started the lap in the race lead and is now down to P7, and maybe a bit of damage as he went for a spin through Dunlop. Decker then inherits P2, and he's setting his sights forward on Dizzy Lizard. This is Temp also getting past Mister. Into the top 7 he goes. And through now the long right-hander before Spoon. Dizzy Lizard low on ERS. He's used up quite a bit of his battery. So too has Decker and Nathan. Decker though, just over half of his battery. He's going to be able to blitz past down the straight, so he wishes, and he's probably going to want to, as I say, with that tyre grip going to be falling off right towards the end of this race, and he's going to lose a buck ton of pace. Purple to the middle sector goes Decker. He's practically pushing the Aston Martin through 130 out, pulling to the left hand side, but he wants the DRS. He doesn't want to go for the move into this chicane. He wants the DRS. He wants to make it easy for himself. He does not want to do it in style. He wants to do it easily, and you cannot blame him at all. DRS open, Nathan using his ERS, pulling to the right hand side goes the AlphaTauri, and Dizzy Lizard not with much of a defense, not with much of an attack to respond to that with. He's got not a lot of ERS in the battery either, so Decker takes the race lead. Very nicely done after what has been a pretty shambles race for him, but it's all coming together towards the end. Lap 23 of 27, Mr. XL, a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and it's gone from bad to worse for him in this race. Decker trying to just stretch his legs. Dizzy though needs to know that his tyres are going to fall off towards the end. He needs to know that Decker is going to have a massive drop off, maybe even in puncture territory if he drives those tyres too hard. He's been stuck in dirty air for a big portion of this race, so those tyres are going to be slightly worse for wear, and that can be where Dizzy Lizard maybe makes the resurgent comeback in the last couple of laps or so. It could happen. We'll have to wait and see. Nathan Hotspurs though on soft compound tyres also looking to get himself into the top two. Torsiv 1.4 seconds back. He's on older medium and under pressure from Ryan Kai again, who copied the Decker Nathan strategy and went on to those softs. We'll have to see if he can get through. Ryan Kai, one of the favourites to win at the start. But we'll see how he gets on. He's not got a lot in the tank compared to Torsiv. He's got almost a half a battery in reserve. The Ferrari though looking to get himself into the top two. Decker 131.360. His true pace now starting to shine through. Dizzy Lizard having to go defensive. Nathan closing an array of knots. Is it enough towards turn one? He looks, doesn't again, can't quite get his way through. Ryan Kai into the top four. The Williams down to fifth, and Wackney wants a slice of the cake. Goes very wide off the exit of turn two there and towards 3 and 4. Needs to just get a good enough momentum through, use that backwards momentum and just propel his way past. It's when you're stuck behind him, even if you're quicker, if you're stuck behind him, you lose that momentum and you can't find a way through. If you just step off and breeze past with some backwards momentum, can really help you out. 2 seconds the gap at the front. Decker leads Dizzy Lizard by 1.7 seconds, 0.8 between Nathan and Dizzy. These soft tyres probably now starting to drop off slightly. The grip really now plateauing, and in probably a lap's time will start to decline. As you can see, Dizzy Lizard has made a bit of an extension between the gap of himself and Nathan, and the gap between himself and Decker hasn't exactly grown particularly much either. This is Torsiv though. He's gone round off the exit of Spoon, gone for a nice little Tokyo drift though, saved it once, couldn't save it twice. He's gone round off the second part, temp into the top 6, and Torsiv down to 7th. Absolute shambles race for a lot of people. 5-10 separate second and third though, and they're pretty equal on pace. Lap 24 of 27 coming towards lap 25 when Decker crosses the line. DRS will be open for Nathan. He's going to get that benefit of the extra 20 kph. Not a lot in the reserve for Dizzy Lizard. Nathan closing, not using his ERS though. He's going to save for a couple of laps and probably blitz past when Dizzy Lizard can't respond. That's probably the best thing to do as he goes a little bit deep. Does the Aston Martin through turn 2. Still gets a good enough launch. Decker leads 2 seconds. Ryan Kai in 4th. Wackney P5. 10 P6. Torsiv P7. Mr. P8 with Flicks a minute 9 seconds behind in P9. He should probably just maybe go for fastest lap. That would be the wiser decision, I reckon. Nathan Hotspurs P3. Again, a very quick driver in that Ferrari, closing as best he can on Dizzy Lizard, but again when it comes to the DRS straight, he just hasn't got the ERS in reserve to do anything about it, and I think he's now realised that and is starting to maybe save a little bit more consciously, so he can use it all at the push of the button on the penultimate lap. That's probably going to be maybe one of his final chances to do so. Just 6 tenths up the road. Decker really not having that drop off we'd expect. 2.4 is the gap, and it's going to be hard for Dizzy Lizard to close up, even if there is a dramatic just slope where the soft tyres just have no grip whatsoever. And you can see Nathan wasting his ERS. That's really not going to help him for the long DRS straight, the long pit straight that's ahead of him, where he's going to want to use that ERS. He's going to need to conserve as best he can through the bus stop chicane and then find a way through Flicks. A 3-second time penalty. The Ferrari a lot closer than he has been in previous attempts though. Can he get the run this time around? DRS and ERS. The Aston Martin in front having to conserve energy as they come onto the penultimate lap of this race. Here comes Nathan. He's pulling to the right hand side. Is Dizzy Lizard going to go all the way around the outside, or is he going to back out? He backs out, and Nathan into second place. It's Decker and Nathan now 1-2 with Dizzy Lizard P3 That's going to be 15 points going his way regardless. And it's going to be a championship extension. He does not want to risk it. Flicks a 1:31.090. That's an extra point, so he's going to get 3 points on offer today for his effort. Because he gets the 2 for P9 and then of course the extra for the fastest lap. 1.5 laps left to go in this race. Can Decker say anything about it? Can he improve his fastest lap? Probably not on those soft compound tyres, but we'll see. We've seen stranger things happen. We've seen Lewis Hamilton set the fastest lap on 40 lap old hard tyres in Silverstone. We've seen Daniel Ricciardo set the fastest lap after 57 laps of Monza in the McLaren. Through the long right-hander before Spoon. Chucking it in, using that curb, using the curb on the exit, getting that good run, doing the best he can. He's got a little bit of ERS in the store. He might be able to launch a counter-attack so long as he can really hook up and maximise the final sector. Dizzy Lizard needs to if he wants any chance that second step on the podium. But it looks to be advantage Decker and advantage Nathan. That soft strategy really paying dividends for them. Maybe not as big as of a drop-off as Dizzy Lizard thought. That might be why he went for the mediums through the final corner. For the penultimate time, lap 27 of 27 now it is, DRS open and using every little scrap of ERS he can find. He's closing but not closing quite enough. It's the final lap, it's all or nothing for Dizzy Lizard. Ryan Kai also lurking in the background. If anything happens, he can find himself on the podium. 2/10 between second and third. The Aston Martin of Dizzy, the championship leader, and the Ferrari of Nathan, one who's looking for a podium finish, something he doesn't often can boast about. Through Dunlop for the final time and towards the 2 Degners. 4:10 separate second and third. And it's going to be fluctuating all throughout the lap. Those medium tyres should now be starting to come into their own towards the first of the 2. Needs a good run again through the second run. Waiting for a little bit of slipstream, waiting for that straight. Just needs to be quick wherever it counts, and that's off the exit of these corners. Is he going to go for it to the left hand side? Nathan parking that Ferrari beautifully. Goes in deep though. Could Dizzy Lizard maybe get the drive off? No. Nathan uses the camber and just keeps his foot in and sails around the outside instead of using the inside. Keeps that foot in, keeps that minimum speed up, and it manages to maintain the gap through Spoon. The final time, Nathan goes in a bit deep. Could have given him maybe a warning as we go through the final exit. He's got the slipstream. He's going to use his ERS. So too is Nathan to try and defend this P2. They're equal on penalties. They've been equal on pace. They've been at it for the last couple of laps. The Ferrari moving to break the toe. Decker, I think, is going to be comfortably winning this race as they go through 1:30 for the final time. It's the Aston Martin followed by, well, just in front of him is the Ferrari as we go through the final corner. Here comes Decker from 4th on the grid across the line to win the Japanese Grand Prix. Nathan hangs on for P2 ahead of Dizzy Lizard, who rounds off the podium places. Ryan Kai P4, Temp just about getting P5 at the death, but there's contact between himself and Wackney, who's going to come across the line. Don't DNF on the line as he comes across. P6 with a 5-second time penalty for an unserved. Here comes Torsif through the final chicane, and through he comes to finish P7 of 9. Mister and Filks, who comes across at P9. Here's Mister. We're just going to wait for him. We're going to put the kettle on while we wait. Through 1:30 using his ERS. Is he going to set the fastest lap? We'll have to wait and see. He's still got it turned on as he goes through. Let's see if he can get a good enough run. Let's see if he can set the fastest lap or not. Probably not as he comes home. P8, the final finisher of what was a interesting Japanese Grand Prix, to say the least. Nathan takes the driver of the day, and very deservedly so. 16th to 2nd place, kept his nose clean, did the right things, but Decker, very deserved winner also. A lot of drivers, a lot of good drivers on the grid, managing to do incredibly well. After 50 minutes, it was Decker that takes the win for AlphaTauri, but Nathan, an incredible drive from 16th on the grid to take P2. Dizzy Lizard extending his championship lead in P3. Ryan Kai P4 with Temp P5. Wackney P6 with Torsa P7. Mr. P8 with Filks rounding off those who finished. He takes fastest lap for the extra bonus point as well. Sam Patterson P10. He unfortunately didn't finish. So too didn't Ethan Big Butter, R1D, William Gaming, Kieran Gamer, Lewis or Jamboy. And a lot of people unable to finish, and that is becoming a recurring theme. Not quite able to get a full grid, nor a lot of people finish. We need a couple of people just to step it up a little bit. Let's run around on the final state. The tyres then just gave up. Yeah, that is a shame, but the pace was promising. You looked good in the early stages, even led the race at one point. So up until then, a good race, Flicks, and I'm certainly looking forward to see how you set for the final 3 rounds. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. That was the Japanese Grand Prix, round number 7. 3 rounds left to go in this championship, and it is still all to play for. Do not go anywhere over the next couple of weeks. Definitely get it saved in your planner. Be right here on the Zach Sweeney YouTube channel, and it'll be myself in the commentary booth for UFR. But until next time, guys, it's been a pleasure. Have a wonderful rest of the evening, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye.